why haven't you taken for any fundings as of yet?
We did not want to rush into anything. We wanted to follow the tortoise approach, slow and steady. Like funding brings in validation, but for us it was not the case. We wanted the validation from ourselves first and then probably seek it from outside.
And then I think it should be treated as a need, not a want. You see the industry is growing immensely and amazingly well.
Right.
But this is exactly how it began, and then we were very sure about this thing becoming very big.
Get it like that, you need to be sure that you're placing yourself correctly in the market. We look for that passion in anybody we hire. Like that is the only thing we
We just
for.
see the passion.
And if you don't have the passion for it, you will get tired very soon.
There are immense number of studies that suggest that music is actually a healer for a lot of mental health issues. We were very sure about putting in our own funds to first understand the exact ever-changing consumer behavior before getting somebody else on board who would infuse funds into the system for you to go aggressively, and creating a sustainable model that can be scaled. The idea was always to create that base that you can fearlessly scale once you have funds.
Hi Aditi. Hi Kartik.
Aishwarya.
Hey Aishwarya.
Thank you for finally being a part of this video that we are recording today. I've always had a few curiosity to know about a lot of things about Dhunguru. So does my audience. So today I am all prepared to bombard you both with a lot of questions. So are you prepared?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay. The first question I think is to know how did it all start? And like you know, we're gonna soon be completing 3 years. We've come a long way. How did it all start?
I mean, it was back in 2020, the first wave of COVID, when it accidentally began. As you know, I mean, Aditi and I were sitting in our homes, locked down, doing nothing, absolutely nothing, just passing time, wasting time for that matter.
I wasn't wasting time, I was working.
Yeah, Aditi was working full time at that point of time. So I was wasting completely. I was just killing time.
Killing time and
Not knowing that he's thinking, killing time only to be thinking about Dhunguru and getting it so
No,
he was
not
actually waiting for like an idea to strike him. He was desperately
clear
waiting
down
for
the line,
that.
we can say that.
Yeah. No, it was true. It is true. He was actually like he had his own thing, but he wanted to do something bigger and better. Something that actually makes a difference. And
I think
he used to
that's
talk
Kartik
about
for us
it.
anyway. Yes.
He keeps, he used to keep talking about it. Yeah, I want to do something that makes a difference. I want to make a difference, something meaningful. And I know I'm doing well in life, but this is not what I want to do. I want to bring in a change. I want to solve some problem. So he was basically looking for a problem to solve. And this is a true story, like a true story. We used to have this discussion almost every day. That when will it come? When will I think? When will a problem come to me that I can resolve? And he's obsessed with tech, so he wanted to do something. So basically, solve a problem with tech.
Okay.
And he was just lucky to
Without a tech background.
without a tech background. Yeah, but he loves tech. I mean,
Which we'll come to later.
I'm fascinated
Just-
about
yeah.
technology.
So we were coming back to, you were scrolling Instagram.
We were just sitting, pretty at our homes, and Aditi, I think, took a break from our work at that time, and we were just sitting having chit-chatting at that point and scrolling through Instagram on our phones. And suddenly, I saw a video of one of my cousins who's already a guitar teacher for a very long time. So he has his own academy, but because of lockdown, everything was closed, and I think things started moving towards online. Education started moving online specifically after schools moved online. So everything was now happening online. People were getting used to it. So I saw a video of him teaching one of his students on Zoom.
Okay.
I did not even know what Zoom was at that time. We had no idea what Zoom was, but we saw a video, and I was at that very moment, a thought struck me that whether there is any platform in this country which is teaching music as a marketplace that is basically connecting the students and teachers to come meet each other and learn music. So it was just a very vague and a raw thought at that time, but I just accidentally, just like that, I just asked Aditi, do you think there would be any platform in India that would be teaching music? And I think both of us were on the same page. We both thought there might be a lot of platforms. Tech has evolved over these last decade and a half.
True.
We've seen technology evolving a lot. It all started with Flipkart, making it very big. And then, you see a barrage of different startups into different sectors making a great difference in this country. So we were quite sure that there would be a lot of platforms catering to music as well. It was surprising. So I just went inside, opened my laptop, and just like that, I mean, with no thought, I just started searching what all is available
For online music classes.
for
you
online
started
music
to-
classes.
Okay.
When I first checked it on Google, I did not find anything in India.
Surprising.
Very surprising. Very surprising. There were teachers, academies that were giving online classes then, but it was not a platform that they provided for teachers and students to connect. So that basically began, my curiosity that very instance. And then we researched more and more. And every time I would research, I would go discuss with Aditi and come back, research again, polish something, change something, and then again search. It took us a lot of time. I think initially in the first 1 month, we could not find anything. But then at that point of time, another thought struck. Why did nobody get into this? Is this even successful? Can this be done? Somebody must have been trying this, but must have failed.
So
Because
there were other online formats for music learning. It's not that music learning online was completely alien. There were pre-recorded sessions. A lot of people would upload their videos on YouTube, but there was nothing on the format that we are doing.
Okay. Not
So
real-time one-on-one
not real-time
classes.
one-on-one classes. They
Okay.
were, yeah, but it's not that it was completely
And like how
alien.
you
That
bring on the gurus of
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
India
like not
together,
how we are doing it.
connected to people all across the country.
So that was not happening, and that is what kind of was bothering us. Bothering, not like bothering, but we were just wondering that is it really that we are the first ones to have thought of this, or
But isn't this entire process so heavy on operations? Weren't you
we had not even gotten to that point
No,
because right
so
now
you take it
when
step by step.
Yeah, when you start thinking of something, there's a lot of ideation involved. Like the initial thing is to just validate it to yourself also that what you're thinking actually stands a chance, and that involves a lot of research, a lot of googling that what's happening, is there something already, is there a market for that, will this be accepted, is there a need for something like that. You only put out something in the market
Yeah.
that you feel that there's a need for. That is when we got in touch with a lot of marketing agencies that helped us doing surveys. So we got a survey done.
Yeah, I mean, we started with a research with one of the leading market research agencies in Gurgaon, and the only thought was, if we are the first ones, we need a validation.
Yeah.
There are upsides and downsides to you being first in any industry. The upside is you have that first mover advantage, but the downside is you don't know if a need even exists. I mean, is the audience even looking for what you're selling, what you're trying to give them? Are they convinced with the idea or not? So a lot of thoughts were there at that point, and we got in touch with the leading market research agencies in India just to get an understanding of the market and see the response. And that was I think the first time when we got into it and spent the first money that we spent on Dhunguru. So we asked them to conduct a survey.
Is it right? Is it right if I say first investment?
First investment, yeah, you can call it. Everything that we're doing is an investment at this point of time.
Exactly.
Everything we have done ever since then is an investment. Yeah, so we asked them to conduct surveys in Delhi, Bangalore, Mumbai, Kolkata, all the major metro cities of India,
Okay.
just to check the response. And
Tier 1 cities for a reason, maybe?
tier 1 and a part of tier 2 cities as well.
And this is COVID time, like peak
Yeah.
COVID time that we're talking about, when everybody was inside their homes. So it wasn't an easy task, because who would you survey when nobody's
Yeah.
even exiting their homes? They're all under lockdown.
So we were, ideating, had a lot of meetings with the Kamlesh. Yeah, we had a lot of meetings with Kamlesh. So the CEO of that company is Kamlesh. He's a very good friend of ours, Abhi.
Okay.
And
The person who conducted the research.
The
A
CEO
marketing-
of that person,
Okay.
that agency, that
Yeah.
marketing agency.
so he's the CEO of that firm, and we used to, talk to him every day, just ideating on this entire concept.
Even he was very, very fascinated.
He was
with
very
the idea.
convinced, very fascinated with the entire thing that we were thinking about, and completely into it as well. He would meet us He would ideate with us, and so we jotted down a set of questions that we wanted to ask the audience when the survey was getting conducted. They did it. It took them a long time to get the results out because it was COVID, lockdown, and they were not even finding people to
Survey.
to survey. So a long time is what we spent in this, and finally we got the results. And when we got the results, it was overwhelming. So we surveyed teachers, parents, and different age group students simultaneously. I think the results that came out from every corner were just overwhelming. It looked like that everybody was kind of waiting for something like this to happen.
So that was the beginning point, maybe. That was like a motivation.
That was the first
initial-
reassurance that we
Yeah,
got.
the
that what we
initial
tried
motivation.
was-
Yeah, so you are basically kind of now convinced that you at least want to check the waters.
Yeah.
Right? You just want to put your feet into it and just see how deep they are. So that's when the struggle actually began. That was the first point. It was not the end. That was actually when
Just the tip of the
the
iceberg.
tip of the iceberg. Exactly. So there were a lot of challenges post this. See, I mean, I still remember as a new entrepreneur into something this big, even though I've been into various businesses for the last 13 years of my life, but this was a huge concept that now we were working on. So it takes a lot of research and I think a lot of thought when you begin something like this, because you really want to put those footsteps carefully, making sure that you're not burning unnecessarily, right? If you want to start, you have to make every penny count at that time. Now that you're investing on your own initially, so you have to make everything count. So I still remember I spent almost 1 month in just trying to create a pitch, an elevator pitch.
Yeah.
It was a lean canvas that I was trying to design, and it took me almost a month just to understand the idea. I was trying to design a lean canvas, and I would just go disturb Aditi every time. I mean, this is not happening. I'm not able to figure this out.
And until that point, honestly speaking, I had no clue that I will be this big a part of Dhunguru or like this. I would be a co-founder basically. Up until then, I was just a wife listening to the husband, coming to me
And
with an
managing
idea.
at this level, how you do
like
every day.
just
on a
helping
daily
him
basis.
out with whatever little I could with my job ongoing. I knew there was potential, but I had not, because I had never done business. I was always into jobs. And I never thought that I'll make this shift in my career. So up until then, I was not a co-founder. I was just helping him out with his research, with everything that I possibly could, until slowly, because as he kept, evolving the idea, and he kept working
Within
on
the
it.
2020, you came on board, or was it a little
No,
after?
it was
No, it was a little afterwards.
a little afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, surprising.
So up
She
until
was a
then,
passive part.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
you
was-
cannot say that she
from
was
day
not a
one, I
part.
was like a passive
Yeah.
part of it, but not knowing that it's going to be this deep and in this capacity at some point.
See, I never thought that it is going to be this big. I'll be very honest. The first
Yeah.
time when we were working on this, we had no clue this is going to be so big. We were just trying it out, thinking that okay, we're going to invest this much money and we're going to totally waste it.
Yeah, there was like an
That was a
X
thought.
amount in our minds that okay,
That was a thought.
this is what we have.
And-
we're setting aside for this, and let's just say that we're going to waste it all.
And it's an experimentation that we're doing. We're going to waste
Yeah.
this, even if it goes to waste and we don't get even a penny out of
we
this.
I'm
won't-
supportive of you to be doing that.
We won't cry about it. That is what I thought. That, okay, this is what we're keeping aside for it, and we're way past that. So that's because there's so much potential in this. Like we saw promise, and we're way past that X amount. But yeah, happily doing that.
But it is, I think that everything is validated now. You see the industry is growing immensely and amazingly well.
Right.
But this is exactly how it began. And then actually started the real struggle once you are sure about getting into it, and a lot of challenges. As I said, you read, you study, you try to create things, and you
One thing,
see
curiosity to leading to another, the research.
not just curiosity, I would say a
Research.
lot of
There's a
challenges,
need
because
for research.
see, it's
you need.
it's a tech product.
Yeah.
The first thing you need is product,
And none of us
right?
are techies.
It's a tech thing.
Without a tech background, I was about to
I
say
have
that.
no tech background. Aditi has no tech background. We have no friends who have tech backgrounds.
Exactly.
We've got nobody in our circles who would know anything about tech. So then started our research for a guy who would develop the first product for us, and that I think was the till date was the biggest challenge that we've seen in Dhunguru. So because overcoming that was really a big task, not knowing anything about technology, it was a great deal to come out and just look for that guy who would build this for you, and then you also don't know what you want to build. You are not sure about that. You just have an idea, a vague picture in mind that this is what I'm planning to create, and we want to go lean initially. So then we happened to meet. At that point, I started connecting with a lot of people through a few online platforms, just having conversations about what we were thinking, the vague idea that we had. And one person led to another, the other led to another, and I kept meeting different people.
Maybe.
I kept networking online at that time, and
The power
then
of
we met.
networking, guys.
Then then we met a guy from IIT Mumbai.
Okay.
He was very new, just graduated from IIT into technology, and good mind, very sharp brain. So I discussed the idea with him, and he wanted to build this product for us. He started doing it. He just started building, and when the process was ongoing and we were ideating every day about what we exactly needed, suddenly an accident happened, and in that fire accident, that guy unfortunately passed away.
And this was days before he was supposed to
Deliver the
hand
product.
over the project to us.
The
project
first
to us.
MVP that we were trying to build.
It's
This
just
was
days
days
before
before that.
That must be such a major
Yeah, because
setback.
we spent about 4 months with
We
him.
spent
4,
about
5 months.
3-4 months
Yeah.
into developing that, and then after
Because-
4 months, what you see is the guy is
कहते नहीं
gone.
कि थोड़ी सी हिम्मत टूट जाना. Did that happen? with
See,
you?
honestly, it was more than the
was-
project.
yeah.
It was a shock.
You're talking to somebody on a daily basis, and then suddenly there's no contact. Like, it's not like we got to know right away.
Psychologically also, I mean, it has so much effects.
Yeah, so he was trying to connect with him, and his
mean,
number
I-
was not reachable.
I still
he tried for a
remember-
day or two, and that had never happened. Like, he was a very diligent child, a very diligent kid. So he would always answer his calls or call back. So there were, I believe, almost 2 days that there was no touch. Then the guy through whom Kartik met him, he connected with him that why.
Not through him. I knew a few of his friends who were into designing as well. So I still remember, I mean, we were in Maldives vacationing at that time, and I continuously kept trying his phones, but he was not answering. And when we came back, I got in touch with one of his friends who was into designing, and he told me that he's no more. That was a total shock. The first thought was, I knew him personally as well. He was the only child to his parents. So it was a very big shock at that time. And then, I mean, it took me a couple of days, 3 days to come out of that zone.
to kind of come
And-
to terms with the fact that it has.
And then come to again back onto to Dhunguru, and we were all shattered because, as I said, this was the biggest struggle that we had, finding a tech guy who would build the product for us.
At first, fine. So much time went into finding him. Then so much time went into developing it with him.
Deciding, what you want to build, and he was
How did you-
finally building it.
It must have took you a lot of time, emotionally also, and but how did you overcome this? How did you try to, get back to the game?
It was just, I think, God's way of, sending different messages. And luck has played a very, very big role. I'll be very honest. I mean, fortune has played a great role in this entire journey that we had. Because right after this happened, I again started, just having random conversations with people. I would talk to Kamlesh every day about this, and he would again tell me, do not give this to anybody who is not passionate about this, because he might just screw the project up. And I also was very convinced that we don't want to give this to anybody who's not as passionate to build this for us. So, but again, I mean, it was just destiny. We happened to meet a couple of more IITians, now this time from IIT Delhi, through one of our friends. We just happened to talk to him about this, and he introduced us to a couple of techies from his office. They connected us to their friends. So that's how it just became a chain.
Okay,
And
again, networking, guys.
again, networking, yeah. So we got in touch with them. Those two were just brilliant minds that I worked with. I think Till
I
date
think one
in
of the
Dhunguru,
sharpest minds I have met.
Till date in Dhunguru, I've not met anybody like that who's that sharp. Those guys.
Wish we get the opportunity to know this person and ever meet this person.
Absolutely. I mean, he would be glad to meet all of you.
Yeah.
So we again discussed the idea with him. He was, I think, he was very much there. He knew what he wanted to do with the idea, what kind of product he wanted to build.
A little funny thing, like he was too passionate about it that no matter what we would tell him, he would come up with his own version of what he wanted to do.
So he actually created.
Essay.
So, we would tell him that this is what we want, Abhishek, and he would have something in his mind and would say,
And
okay,
would just do
Kartik,
that.
he'll just agree to whatever you're saying, but
But
ultimately end
ultimately
up
do what
doing
he
what he
wanted
wanted
to
to
do.
do. He created a version of a product in his head
Yeah.
that he wanted to create, and then he ended up creating that. But yeah, I mean, after a little bit of tweaks and changes, we came up with the first MVP that he delivered in less than a month and a half. One
He
guy,
was quite.
and just one single guy creating this entire thing for you.
I'm telling you, the sharpest minds I've
So,
met.
and his speed, I'm a fan of his speed. He is great to work with.
Like he's a no-nonsense guy.
Abhishek, I hope this video reaches to you.
I
sure
think
it
it would. He's going to see this for sure.
Yes.
So that's how it. I mean, we got the product. We were now very sure about how we wanted to proceed.
A little confidence had come back.
Yeah,
Which was always there. Which was always there.
Lot of it, not just little
Because
bit,
he
lot of it.
developed a great product. Like we went ahead
And
with just that for a very long time. Before
yeah, I
we
mean,
made
even the current
changes.
product that you see is just an extension
yeah,
of that.
exactly. So it's
We've
still
been-
it's still his thing.
Even
with
though-
just extensions and
And a little
improvisations.
tweaking.
Even though we wanted to just build an MVP, I think we ended up building a full-fledged product
yeah.
that went out to the market, and we rolled it out, and people loved it. People just loved it because it was, again, initial days into this industry. By then, we had a couple of competitors in this industry who had already started as well. So we were not the first ones to begin. But I think the ideation was going at the same time. So all of us, all the 3-4 competitors who started, they started at the same time along with Dhunguru. So now we had competition in the market as well. One great thing that, a great thought that came to our mind.
Also, something like a new factor that you realized that at this, when you were researching, there were no competitors, there were no contemporaries. But by the time you were planning to come in the market, there were competitors all of a sudden.
No, I mean it never intimidated us
They
because we
had
know
to
it.
be,
We knew it's a huge market to get into. We conducted our own market sizing, studies as well. We had our own thesis about the market, and we were very sure about this market being a huge market to tap into. So when we saw competitors coming in, we were very sure about this thing becoming very big. That very moment, the first thought was that this market is a great market to tap into, because now you see people coming into it and their ideas getting validated as well. So you were
That's
sure
another
about what you were
form
doing.
of validation, right? That you're not alone. There are other people who are also thinking on the same lines, and they've seen validation in that. So it's not just you, but other minds also who think alike and are doing the same thing. And let's not forget, this was COVID time, so the world was coming online.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Everything was
right.
happening online.
So
It was just the beginning.
that was
just the beginning.
that was a time when we started, and very soon we again, I mean, one of the challenges that we had in mind was how would we onboard the teachers. Very new thing.
fun, yeah.
We never knew anything about how to go about it. Would you need to travel and meet different kind of teachers to onboard, and that's a hectic exercise. That's a very
That was the biggest fear in my mind. Like, how would that happen?
and then we basically ran our first marketing campaign at that point to onboard teachers, and we were just stunned with the kind of response we got.
Yeah.
So probably just to sum this up, it was the Instagram scrolling that led to another, the passion for sure, the power of networking, and all of this together. So this brings up to my next question. The next question is, can you share a turning point that significantly contributed to Dhunguru's growth over the past 3 years? Or maybe any instances that come, on the top of your minds?
I think there are a lot, but
For me personally, it was the teacher onboarding thing.
That made you realize that this is going to be big from now.
No, that realization had come, honestly speaking. with the
product was
with the product
Yeah.
was developed, and there were so many other competitors in the market. So more than scaring us, like you said, it kind of gave us more confidence that okay, there's definitely a great market out there, and that's the reason people are doing this.
Exactly.
So it was just a boost of confidence. But yeah, the first major, I would, what should I call it? A major milestone for me, or something that gave me personally a lot of confidence in this, was that I was personally very worried about getting teachers on board, because I had no idea about how this works and how marketing works, to be honest. So I thought that it's going to involve a lot of traveling and talking to teachers, like visiting music schools and talking to teachers about teaching online and stuff. But when we ran the first teacher campaign, in just 2 days, Aishwarya, we got so many inquiries, and it was just Kartik and I at that time.
I
We
think
were doing everything
we
together.
kind of remember the number as well. It was close to 150 to 200
Yeah.
inquiries that we got in the first 2 days.
So we started, and then we had a meeting with our marketing agency at that time, 2 days later. And I remember we telling them that, you've got to pause this, because it's just us.
It's
We're
getting
not-
overwhelming,
Yeah,
huh?
we're not able to
But
handle these
did you
many inquiries.
really envisage this, that this would
Not
happen?
at all,
No.
not at all,
right?
not at all.
That too, in just 2 days, you would be getting such
Yeah.
response.
So we actually had to ask them to like slow it down, pause it for a while, because we were not able to handle the queries. And that is when we hired the first
Employee in Dhunguru.
to kind of help us with the teacher
Onboarding.
inquiries. Yeah.
So there were so many.
Divya, she's no longer with us. She's doing.
She's moved on to some different venues, but yeah, she was a great hand. We had, I think, overwhelming inquiries, and then we had to cover all of them, call, get in touch with them, onboard them. That was the first step. I mean, you need to have teachers to onboard students, right? So that was the first step to start this journey. And we all, I think the first calls were made by I and Aditi. Then Divya joined us. And then we all three were onboarding teachers simultaneously in 2021. This was June, I guess. May or June.
May end.
May and June.
May and June.
That was when we started onboarding teachers. And so I think in a few days itself, we were able to get about 50 to 60
50, yeah.
teachers on the platform for different instruments. And that is when now we thought about, let's plan the GTM. Let's plan how do you target the students now. That is a challenge. You really need to think about it. You need to see what you need to offer.
Bracing up for the next big challenge. then.
Yeah, so that was the next big thing. We now wanted to check how do the students react to this. We again ran some different marketing campaigns on different platforms, and just to check the kind of response we get. Initially, for the first 2 weeks, we did not get even one inquiry.
And that was such a setback, because after getting the kind of response we got from the teacher campaign, it was very disheartening. Like
Yeah.
I, for one, I was very disheartened. I was a complete novice in business and all, so little things made me happy, little things made me extremely upset. So for 2 weeks, there was not even a single inquiry on.
But then we got the first inquiry on Dhunguru after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was getting mad to call. So I was just going mad. I'm going to call this girl. So it was an inquiry that we got.
For which instrument or
Guitar.
This was for guitar.
Okay.
We still remember.
I remember the name
But
of the student, the name of the teacher, but
we
Let's
cannot
not say it,
disclose
yeah.
this for privacy concerns.
understand.
But the first call was made by me
yes.
initially to onboard that student. The first inquiry that we had was a paying student for Dhunguru. So the first inquiry itself, I called her. I did not even know what to pitch, how to pitch, but I mean somehow I just managed to. Just to give you a background, I've been a sales and marketing professional for the last 13 years of my life. So
Okay.
I kind of knew how to go about different processes in sales. I've designed a lot of different processes in sales before this as well. So I made the first call, and we were able to give her a demo class with one of our star teachers, who we thought was a very good teacher at that time, and he was.
So giving a demo class was always in the head.
Yeah, that had to be
That plan has never changed. I mean, we always knew that somebody who's coming to pursue a hobby at that time
needs to be given a taste of it.
he needs to understand how would online classes work, how would the teacher teach her, and how would this entire process go? So we offered a demo. She took the demo class, but then what happened is we were not able to close the sale in the demo class. So she said, I need some time to think. And now we were like very curious. Okay, is she going to come on board or not? And that curiosity was there for a few days. When then finally we called her, and she said, okay, tell me how. Tell me how to make the payment. And we remember at that time our initial offerings were also very small. She took 4 classes initially for guitar, and that's how it began. The first student changed the entire mindset. That changed the entire mindset that we had, and then I think there was no stopping. So that was a milestone again. But if you talk about turning points, there have been many, but the initial struggles that we've seen, obviously nothing can beat that. And if you can surpass those, I think this is just
with
something
with every struggle that you surpass, you gain more confidence in what you're doing.
If you can tackle this, अगर ये कर लिया ना, तो आगे तो कर
Yeah,
ही
that's what
लेंगे.
you keep telling
When he said,
yourself,
no, the
that okay,
first time
just ये कर लेते
that
हैं.
he was from the background, but this was the first time he was doing that. So he was like, I'll do it. Let's do this. So after that, then he's ready. You're ready to take on things.
Yeah, by that time I was completely a part of Dhunguru.
So
I'd left
Aditi
my job.
had left her job.
I quit my job
We
Joined
both were
Kartik
very
full-time.
convinced about what we were doing at that
much
time.
before this.
So she had left the job. She was completely into Dhunguru. She did not get even 1 day break. So she wanted to take a break of 15 odd
Which I was
days,
not allowed, yeah.
but she did not get even 15 minutes. The moment she
He's a
left the
very
job,
he's a very demanding partner.
So if I may just say something that Aditi and Kartik had gone to celebrate Aditi's birthday for 3 days, and in the office she was to come that day. She still the next day she was there in the office in the evening working, and if she has to choose between gym over anything, she would choose gym. But she was there to be at the office and not working out. That's Aditi for you. Very passionate about her work. The next question that I have, that it's been 3 years and you've grown organically pretty well and you've done really great so far. And so far you're bootstrapped. I'm curious to know that why haven't you taken for any fundings as of yet?
I'd say proudly so. Bootstrapped and proudly. Why haven't we taken any funding? There are various reasons for that. See, we did not want to rush into anything. We wanted to follow the tortoise approach, slow and steady, rather than rushing into things and doing just what others are doing. We wanted to be sure of what we were doing, like, master the concept, master what we're doing, understand it at least completely before we bring on other minds. Because it's when you go for funding, it's not just money that you get, right? You get other brains also. So we wanted to be sure of what we are doing, like understand that completely ourselves before we got other people on board and sort of share this with them. And
it was a very thought after decision that we took at various steps, not just once.
Yeah.
At various steps, in a moment we would just think about raising a few funds just to sustain better. But then I think the sane side would always tell us not to go for it right now, because we were not very sure about how the customer behavior is approaching in this industry. They were very initial days, and we would see different competitors raising funds, but that also never intimidated us. We were very sure about putting in our own funds to first understand the exact consumer behavior, the ever-changing consumer behavior for some time before getting somebody else on board who would then, infuse funds into the system for you to go aggressively. And a part of going aggressive is also about creating a sustainable model that can be scaled. So the idea was always to create that base, that robust base that you can fearlessly scale once you have funds.
A concrete foundation.
Exactly.
you can't be scaling and then experimenting at the same time.
Right.
You scale when you're sure of your model. You've made a model, and then it's just about replicating it. So we were trying to get to that model first, which we
Is
know
the foundation concrete enough now?
Oh, absolutely.
I think
More
it
than
is.
that.
It's more than concrete at this point.
It's ever evolving.
It's been
You
2
can't-
years.
yeah.
We have kind of very well understood the changing consumer behavior, and which is very important for you to run any show. Any show any model, any new business that you're getting into, the first most important thing that you have to understand is how is your
Consumer behavior.
target customer behaving in different situations at different times. This is the core reason why we never wanted to raise funds, because once an investor comes in, he might bail you out of your financial troubles at that time.
Yeah.
But then if you are not sure about what you're doing and you don't have that in-depth knowledge about what you're selling, how you're selling, and how you have to scale, you are going to crash at some point. So that was the thought.
And we didn't want to crash. Like we were okay with probably going a little slow.
Going
as
lean
compared
for some
to,
time.
yeah, as
We
compared
wanted
to
to stay
other,
lean.
Players in the market. But yeah, whenever we go fast, we wanted to do it in a sustainable manner.
And also, to add to this point, it might sound very clever of us to be talking about this, but at the same time, we saw different competitors raising funds at different at different stages. Every 2-3 months, you would see a competitor in this industry raising some round.
Yeah.
And that kind of, again, kept validating the idea that you were working on. And also, to add to this, another thing that we did is we learned from everybody's mistakes, including our own mistakes as well. It's all about evolving. You need to see what challenges you're facing, what challenges this industry is facing, right? And before you head to investors, you should be very well aware about a
Of your
scalable
weaknesses.
model.
And also your weaknesses.
Exactly. So the weaknesses, as
So it's not just the competitors they were getting funded. A lot of them were getting closed as well. A lot of competitors shut shop.
Not exactly in music space, but
EdTech
you would see
in
in education industry, hobby sector specifically, you see a lot of startups going down. And we did not want to ever project Dhunguru as a startup that was born out of COVID. Dhunguru or this idea or this industry was not born out of COVID. It's a great need that has always been there.
It's born
even
out of,
pre-COVID.
I think, passion for music.
No, I think the need has always been there.
Yeah, I mean, what he's saying is that during COVID, a lot of startups they came up. Like, see, kids were home; they were not going to school, so a lot of hobby startups they came, who were teaching all sorts of things like the Rubik cube, chess, a lot of these things. So everything was being taught online. There were so many startups coming for different things at various points. Like every other week, there was a new player in the market teaching some sort of hobby. So they were basically born out of COVID. Like, who would have thought of learning Rubik's cube online
or chess online, for that matter?
Right?
The need was there because I think children at that point were sitting home. There were no schools.
Parents were doing
work from home.
They needed something for their kids to be busy so that they could focus on work. This is as raw and as true it could be.
Right. So I mean, there could be multiple reasons apart from this as well. But so that was the idea that. I mean, we've always wanted to validate it to ourselves as well.
Yeah.
Whether this industry is actually born because of COVID or the need has been there. So, and I think we kind of got this validation very well after the second wave of COVID ended. That's when this industry actually started scaling.
Yeah.
We saw a great upward trend right after the second wave ended. We saw things getting normal, it getting normalized for working professionals. Offices started calling people back to work from office setup, and things were getting normal by then. And even then we saw that the trajectory was not going down, it was going upwards.
Which just showed that it was not only because of COVID that there was a demand or need for this, but people want it in real. Now that they've had a taste of it, they want to do it. They want to continue with this.
Something what I get out of this is that ever since that we've started from the first question until now, that you took the time.
We've been very
testing
patient.
the waters. Very patient,
We've
actually.
been very
Not
patient.
in a hurry to be or over ambitious to be achieving things out of just being over ambitious. So you took the time to test the waters. Absolutely.
And I wouldn't want to sound too humble and say that it was very easy. It was difficult. It wasn't easy at all. When you're bootstrapping something, a startup, which takes in a lot of investment, it's not easy to sustain that like that for 3 years. Almost 3 years, like you said, we'll be completing 3 years now. So it is not easy, but then yes, we knew, our thought was very clear. We knew in our heads that we don't want to be impacted by what's happening around us. We don't want to get intimidated by anything that's happening. We don't want to feel that we are being left behind. we knew what we were doing. It was a conscious choice always. We would question every now and then that, oh, are you funded? Are you funded? Because that's the sad state in today's startup thing. If you're not
That's a good
funded,
thing.
yeah,
That's a
like
good
funding
thing.
brings in validation. But for us, it was not the case. We wanted the validation from ourselves first, and then probably seek it from outside.
Lovely.
And then I think funding also is basically should be it should be treated as a need.
Yeah.
So not a want. So it's
Exactly.
not that you want funding and you'll go and raise funds. There has to be a need to raise funds. If
At
you're
the
going
right
well,
time.
if your business model is going fine, you're not burning too much, your burn is under control and check, and you can sustain well with your own
Then why not?
revenue that you're generating. I don't think there is any need for funds, right? Now at this point, I think we feel that we've come to a point wherein now we want to go aggressively, right? We want to scale well. We want to go a bit faster than what we have been doing. So it's a time when we are pondering over, thinking about reaching out to a few investors and see what kind of
Because
thought do they have.
like we mentioned, or like you mentioned, the foundation is very concrete and set now.
That's what we feel. I mean, it's still for
It
a lot
is-
of people
it
to
is that
decide if
way.
the foundation is concrete or
3
not.
years now, we're that way. So, again, one thing we spoke about how this company for now is bootstrapped for 3 years. Another question, both of you are not from the tech background. And like you mentioned in the first question, in your first, when you were answering that with such a consumer based product, as far as I know, both of you are not from the tech background. And now that we've launched the app as well, how has that all happened? How have you been able to pull that off? That too without a technical chief and without a technical background, as I may say it again.
It's been very, very, very difficult, but I would just say one thing.
I'm sure.
I mean, I always say this: "Avashyakta Avishkar ki janani hai."
I
So, you see,
Not the first time I'm hearing that,
Yeah.
but the audience is hearing that for the first time, and that's true.
so I had zero knowledge about technology, absolutely zero, and so did Aditi. We never knew anything about tech. But out of the two of us, I had the fascination for tech. She did not even have the fascination for tech. She had,
to be
She-
honest, I till date don't have it.
I mean, she
I
was,
don't have a technical bend in my mind.
and so it basically, I mean, to sum it up in short, I would say I learned it out of need. I don't code, but I can very well be the product manager in scaling this product.
You are the product manager.
That's what I've been.
He's the brain behind.
Yeah.
So
It's his brainchild.
that's
I will not take credit for this at all.
Technically, yes.
The product and everything that you see in terms of the website, the app, it's all his brainchild. Of course, with help from our developer.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah.
I'll tell you. I started ideating on this. I was very clear about the product that I wanted initially. Abhishek built it for us, but then how to scale? He was a brilliant mind. He did it all by himself, and now he was gone because he had some other plans in mind that he wanted to scale. I tried getting him on board because we were kind of on the same page always.
Yeah.
But that he was a guy you cannot control. He was somebody who always wanted bigger than what I was offering
And
or
good
maybe
we
what
did
he was
not.
getting.
Right? He has a startup of his own.
Yeah,
Today he's
they're doing
running his
very
own
good.
company and they're doing very
doing
well.
very well at this
So-
point. So that was a time now when you had to come to a conclusion about what you actually want.
Yeah.
We started looking out for a technical co-founder. We got a lot of people who were interested in the project, but we were never aligned with the idea of getting anybody on board
would
who was
that be?
who was not as passionate.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how this Abhishek from IIT Delhi, young mind, young chap, but only thing that attracted or made you inclined to him was that he was so passionate and at the same level as you were. And no matter how much you got it for the technical chief officer as well,
Actually, not just for the technical chief. We look for that passion in anybody we hire. Like any employee that we hire, we interview. That is the only thing we
We
look
just
for.
see the passion.
Because
Any-
working with a startup, doing something like this, it is very challenging. And if you don't have the passion for it, you will get tired very soon. Very soon. So that is like the most basic thing that we look in anybody, any employee or any candidate that we interview, we connect with, we talk to. That is the first thing that we look for. That does he have the passion for something like this? Is he passionate enough to match ours. I mean, that's
not
difficult.
match ours, and maybe go even past our
Yeah.
passion as well. That would be lovely. But there are a lot of things, Aishwarya, that go into getting somebody on board in your core team.
Yeah.
It is not that easy a choice, simple a choice. I mean, as she's been very vocal and clear about hiring people at various roles in Dhunguru, we've been very selective. We would interview 100 people and select only 5 out of them. That's how choosy and selective we've been in our approach, because we always wanted to see that passion in anybody who would join Dhunguru. It's an idea, it's a vision that we've carried for a very long time. We had a very clear vision about Dhunguru. That obviously has evolved over the period of time and has become much bigger than what it was when we started. So we always wanted somebody who would match that passion and that vision. Anybody who's coming on board in the core team should be passionate, equally passionate or maybe more passionate, and have bigger vision, maybe even bigger than what we have, to be a part of Dhunguru.
Which perhaps you weren't able for the technical.
We met a lot of people. I personally met a lot of people, had a lot of discussions with different people who were very brainy in technology, very good coders, very good, brains behind tech, and they had built a lot of great products in technology up until then. But we were never convinced about the passion that they would carry to come on board with us. So we always went against this choice of having anybody on board who was not on the same page.
Yeah, there's one thing that we've not done till date, and I don't see us doing, is make any desperate choices, no matter how much of a need it could be. At the time, we've always been sure that no desperate choices to be made at any point of time.
It's an inconvenience that you would face maybe for a long time of not having somebody who has that knowledge, because you would need to learn some different skill. But I was always willing to learn that, and thanks to one of our teammates as well, Anirudh. I would not want to miss his name in this.
He's been instrumental.
He has carried that same passion that I have seen in me, in Aditi, and different people who have joined Dhunguru. He's carried that passion for technology and product since the day he has joined. And he was hired for something else. He kept changing different positions at various times. Now he's settled in
fact,
tech.
he's done everything in the company.
If there's
So
anybody,
he's played every role.
If I have to mention, I think yesterday he was doing the demo booking. कहते यार ये भी अच्छा नहीं होता कि आपको सब पता होता है कंपनी के बारे में, like you know everything to do. No, he wasn't cribbing. He started with something else. Today he's the product manager. And he's one of the oldest employees who's still with us.
But he's still a go-to person for anything. Like
yes.
I mean, anything you want in Dhunguru, just go to Anirudh. He would have
he
all
would
those
have an
questions.
answer to all your questions.
Yeah.
So he has
And the
helped
only
a
thing
lot.
probably he's not been a part of is marketing.
Yeah, that's not his interest area. But other than that, I think he's been a part of many different things.
But I wouldn't be surprised if one day he's even doing something to do with that. Like he does.
He's helped marketing team get a lot of
Yeah,
content
see,
from
It could be
the
something
product
that he
as
might
well.
not be doing it intentionally.
Exactly.
So
He's like, there's one thing I haven't done. I don't want to do intentionally.
he's been very, 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 very instrumental in implementing
But a
all the
great
ideas
person, right.
that we've had. So
Very hard.
as I said, we had to learn the skill. I and Anirudh, we both have managed this product up until now. Whatever you see is done by both Anirudh and us. And if we can, there's only one belief. See, we won't make a desperate choice even now.
Yeah.
If we can scale it to this extent, we can scale it further as well. But nobody who's not as passionate is ever coming on board with Dhunguru anytime in the future as well.
Yeah.
Reminds me of one incident also. Every time when there's work, Anirudh would be coming at around 11 o'clock. But when there's work, or maybe when certain employees in the office are on leave, Anirudh would be there sitting before anyone else has come to the office and working on the laptop. That's when you know today there's been a lot of work or some employees missing. So he's taking the onus. Yeah. That's Anirudh for everyone or for Dhunguru also.
I mean, there's so many stories about him. He's very, very
I think
hardworking.
those are certain things that I've seen, I've known.
So,
already.
I'll tell you a fun fact. When we started hiring, you remember anybody we would interview, because we were hiring the first sales team. That was the first requirement. We needed a few people to make a few phone calls and get the students onboarded. That was the way you would just run the revenue and keep the money flowing in the system to be able to carry out the operations. So anybody we would interview, we would see people asking for enormous amounts as salaries, and we were not able to afford that. We were at a very initial stage and never had that kind of privilege of external funds as well. So we had to make constant conscious choices along the journey, and so we decided that we'll go with people who don't have much experience, but let's not compromise on the passion part. That is going to be there for sure. We did a lot of interviews. Whenever we sat down in the interviews, we ensured that everybody who had that passion, doesn't matter whether they have that experience or not, they carry any kind of knowledge about that thing or not, but if they are passionate about doing something, we would get them on board, but at our price that we can afford. And we would very honestly tell everybody, see, this is what we can afford at this point, and this is what we can pay. We cannot go above this limit. So if you're okay, please be a part of Dhunguru. And we ensure you one thing: this is going to be very big, because we carry a lot of passion for this, and we know the market is very deep. This is not going anywhere. This one thing never changed about this entire journey. We were very convinced from day one when the operation started. We were extremely convinced about this becoming very big. So Anirudh, he's also one example of that sort. I mean, he did not have any experience in technology, prior experience, or anything else apart from this as well. He was very new into the entire working culture.
Fresh out of college?
Not fresh
Not
out of
really.
college.
He had a couple of months of experience, I think.
Couple of months, 3 months of experience before joining Dhunguru. That is as good as very new.
Very new too.
So he came on board, and we were very convinced about teaching everybody everything that we could, whatever we knew of in Dhunguru, or from our previous experiences into this professional world. We were very, very, very clear about teaching them all about this. Few people stayed with us even until now. A lot of people left in between the journey, as in when we progressed. But we're glad to have a team of extremely passionate people who are all very much into this idea. And most of the people you talk to today in Dhunguru, they have basically been a part of Dhunguru only for this passion that they carry for this idea, this industry, and this entire vision that we carry. So it's really a great feeling that your entire team is on the same page, and they feel the same. They have the
I
same
think
feeling.
that's also in a way achievement to have people of
Absolutely.
being able to find people who share the same passion.
And they carry it on with you till, like, we've got people who started with us and we have them till date. And that's a great achievement.
And that tells a lot about just not you as individuals, but the company that you've built, the organization, the ecosystem, and everything as
I would
well.
really like to believe that.
Another question that I have for the both of you is that, how do you perceive the trajectory of digitalization within India's music online classes, especially considering that it has been on the rise prior to the pandemic and has further accelerated during and the post pandemic, with Dhunguru being a prominent stakeholder in this one?
I would differ with your opinion on this. It was not on the rise prior to the pandemic. It was at a constant pace, maybe. It was going at a constant speed, but it was not rising for sure, because the options were not there.
It was just there.
It was just there,
In a
existing.
certain
The market was
format.
always there. It was existing, but it was not growing at a very good pace. It was just there, going at a decent pace.
So it did accelerate during and the
Oh,
post pandemic.
absolutely.
It accelerated immensely after
During
post-COVID, especially post-COVID. When things normalized, it accelerated even more. That was basically another turning point. You talked about the turning points. That trajectory was a turning point as well. So, as I said, things panned out automatically in this entire journey. What we saw was absolutely stunning. Our thought also was, I think, initially when we were running during COVID times, we also knew that this COVID would accelerate the growth, but we were proven wrong. When COVID ended, we saw it going even further, and the graph went upwards like this, because now what was happening is people were quite used to of going back to the normal lives, and they were settled, and then started the passion thing in their mind that I always wanted to learn this instrument, which I could never learn. But now there are so many platforms out there who are teaching music online at my own time, at my own place, according to my own convenience. That's when the entire thing actually changed. This is when we saw a second or a third shift in the consumer behavior along this journey.
So, in simple terms, like if I just sum it up, during COVID, everybody had a lot of time to themselves, right? We started working from home. It was perhaps for the first time that people were, doing this. They were working in a manner that they were sitting at home. We all had a lot of free time,
Restricted to the screen.
Yeah, I mean, you saw how everybody was turning into a chef, somebody was doing something. There were so many, like people were actually experiencing this for the first time. So that is when they started this thing that, okay, let me pursue this. I've got a lot of time on hand. Let me try something that I've always wanted to do. That is when this started. But during that period of a year and a half, now that they had started, they got a taste of it. And after it ended, even after that, they could not stop. So that is when it really accelerated. People continued and how.
And another thing that I can think of is during COVID, everybody thought that I would be able to learn music only now when I'm sitting at home because the offices are not there. I mean, I'm working from home. I have enough time. I mean, I can take 1 hour out of my daily routine from office and I can learn this. But after COVID is over and I'm back to my normal schedule, I might not be able to carry it on. What happened is that thought was proven wrong when COVID ended. So when it ended, people still saw an opportunity to, just take
Continue.
out 45 minutes. Just take out 45 minutes whenever they wanted. And I think a lot of credit goes into the thought that this industry has overall given to the music classes that are getting conducted.
Yeah.
You can learn at your own time. That's the best part about this entire thing. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you just need a laptop or a mobile phone
and
a good internet connection.
If they are working professionals, for me, for example, I can learn after my work or before my work as well.
I myself am
Kartik
learning
is
vocals.
learning on the platform.
I'm learning vocals now, so I also felt the need to get into music. But just to answer your question, Dhunguru, I'm not sure about other platforms, but on Dhunguru, the classes, we've seen Indian classes getting started at 4 a.m. in the morning. And the last class we have seen for an Indian student, I think that was 2 a.m. at night. So this entire industry, I think, has opened immense opportunities for people who always wanted to pursue this passion.
So if you want to do it, you can very well do it.
I'm sure in this tenure and in this time, you must have come across a lot of questions, a lot of times that why do you provide certifications? You do not. What's the thought behind it? I mean, why so?
It was a conscious choice that we had, like that we made right in the beginning, that we do not wish to get into this whole music learning as a subject, as something that needs, like as a study basically, that eventually has to be certified and stuff. We were very clear that we want to start this as a means of pleasure, busting stress, and not add on to a stress. Like kids, they already are burdened with so much stress for their studies and examinations in school, and we didn't want to add on to that. So, when parents, they address this concern that they wish to be certified or they wish their kids to be certified at later stage, we do tell them that all our teachers, they're very well trained to train the students to get certified from a music school, and they can guide them through the process, take them through the examination, subject, syllabus and all. But yeah, we do not consciously do that. We want to keep it simply as a means of mental well-being and not add on to the stress at all.
I think initially when we started, there were a lot of gray areas in this market, in this business, in this industry overall that nobody knew about. There was no study, no thesis, no research that was done in this entire industry that tells you about the customer behavior, the consumer requirements, and what they actually need this product for. So initially, as Aditi said, when we began, there was no, I mean, we did not have any clear thought about what exactly are we going to do. We wanted to go down, deep, just check the behavior of students at every, step at various points in this journey, and then take a decision on what you exactly wanted to offer them, and maybe what you wanted to stick by, and not go past that.
So that's never even gonna happen, never in the
No,
future.
you can't say that. I mean,
never
there's
say never.
there's
don't
no
know.
nothing like we can predict a future here. If the market requires, if people would really demand that, then we might have to take this call. But at present moment, we are very clear that we are not going to have certification done through Dhunguru for any student, or by Dhunguru, a student getting certified by us. That is never going to happen. If anybody wants to get a certification done, we've got expert teachers who are very well trained on teaching you for those certifications and training you on the required subjects for the same. Teachers are there who are experts at Trinity syllabus, who are experts at Rock School and ABRSM, and at the same time for Hindustani classical universities as well. We can train you if you want through our teachers, but Dhunguru is not going to certify, that's for sure, because as we said that it's a very clear decision that we have taken. Music is, for us, it's basically a means to relieve that stress that you have in your daily life. And eventually, we also saw the industry evolving in the same manner. We found a lot of students who are joining our classes. Majority of them are working professionals. That itself tells you the story. They are already settled in their careers, or getting settled in their careers. They would not want to get any certification done. The sole purpose or reason why they're learning this is only to relieve their daily life stress. They're already stressed with their work, with family, with personal life, with professional life. So much competition out there every time you go out, struggling for your careers and to make ends meet. This gives you that those relieved 45 minutes for yourself, where you're just enjoying and enjoying the process, whatever is happening, without expecting any result out of it. Certifications might be very important for a few parents who want their kids to start these classes.
But there's a bigger picture.
There's always a bigger picture. I mean, we've tried to go deep down into it and take a conscious decision at this point.
You've also seen through incidents, through people that you've met, not incidents, but the people that you've met, evolved the thought.
See, I and Aditi have been a part of a lot of student onboarding calls. And during that conversation itself, we come across a lot of cases wherein people tell us that the only reason why they want to learn a particular subject in music or an instrument or vocals, the only reason is they just want to stay calm and make music a part of their life so that they can relieve the daily stress. And there are immense number of studies that suggest that music is actually a healer. It's a healer for a lot of mental health issues that a large population is facing at this time. So I think it's a great way.
Music does have that feel-good factor.
Music is there in everybody's life. I don't think out of the 8 billion population that we have across the world, anybody would say that I don't like music. You would like music in some or the other form, whether it is listening, playing, singing, whatever you want to do. Music is a part of everybody's life in some or the other way. But music is a part
of music, and we have a list of musical instruments as well.
But it's one common factor amongst everybody.
It's one common language that everybody speaks.
I understand.
Music is a universal language, absolutely. So how has your real partnership helped in building Dhunguru?
So, see, we've kept it very, very clear, right from the beginning when we started working together. This is the first time we're working together. We've never worked together before. So, I think it's been simple. We just don't take office back home and bring home in the office. So this is the only way you can do it.
So have you divided your divided responsibilities among yourselves?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very clearly.
You cannot function without that. Otherwise, there'll be a lot of chaos. So we've quite clearly divided a lot of things.
So who handles what?
We are involved in everything together, but yeah, division wise, I take care of operations and the social media part of marketing, and Kartik handles
Majorly tech and performance. Performance along with Somil. So who's also been there for a good amount of time, is standing there handling the camera right now. So
I think he's
technically the first, yeah.
the first.
yeah,
Even
so
before Divya, right?
the first marketing agency that we got onboarded with, he's been the first performance marketer for us and the only one since then.
Since then.
So he's been handling the performance for the last 2.5 years. Yeah,
3 years now.
2 years.
2 years. Okay.
2 years, yeah.
Of course,
So he's been handling that for more than 2 years.
Yeah, more than 2 years.
And so very well versed again with the ideas, what we want to shoot out, what we want to do, very clear with the thought process. A lot of I think a lot of credit for our performance actually goes to Somil, who's controlled the marketing in a very streamlined manner.
And how we've scaled it to this point, it's all because of him. He's got a very clear idea of what we are, how have we reached here, what works for us, what doesn't work for us. Whenever we want to bring in a change, he's there with his ideas. And
Dhunguru as a product overall, I mean,
yeah.
it's very, very, very well aware.
It's not an easy product to understand. It's not an easy market to understand, but his understanding of both the product and the market, it's spot on.
And even you as well, like what you would, even your thoughts as well, your views. He clearly understands.
So I'll tell you, I mean, it's a clear communication between the two of us. We would both ideate. I'll give my ideas, and he's great in implementing everything that we talk about.
It's a great partnership.
So it works like that. I mean, we'll have a discussion. We'll talk about what needs to be done. We'll ideate even on the communication part, what exactly needs to be rolled out. Going to the T, making sure that this word is not looking good here. Please remove this one. Make sure that we're going very direct. So I think the kind of the alignment matches. It matches in every aspect of communication and the way we want to communicate with the audience through our marketing campaigns and the creatives and everything that we are doing in terms of passing on the message to the people about learning music. And implementation wise, I think it's got a great knowledge about how to run these campaigns over different kind of platforms. So great guy to work with again.
Even a lot of times when I'm making those communications, there's not even one piece of communication that does not go, without him going through. And the insights that he has is really nice. They're really helpful. He really understands them. So again, my next questions. India is a very price sensitive market, and affordability is the major concerns when it comes to growing your market share, for sure. It also means that the product has to be innovated constantly. How do you plan on growing this market for yourself? What factors do you consider?
See, it's a constant evolution that you'll have to keep doing. You'll have to keep getting those insights and keep making those changes every time you see a change in the consumer behavior or you're trying to enter a new market. So we started with a particular segment wherein we had a particular approach to target those set of people, and now you enter a different market. You enter tier 3, tier 2 markets in India. Going deep into tier 2 and then tier 3 segments and maybe the rural areas as well. If you want to spread this out, in these different markets, you'll have to change your strategy. You cannot go with the same set.
Correct.
So you're absolutely right when you say it's a price sensitive market, but I think everybody's affordability depends on the kind of pocket they carry. You'll have to give them what they are capable of paying.
Anywhere you go, price is the major concern and the major factor.
In my previous questions also, when Kartik answered that it's the behavioral change we were looking into, and that's how also we've evolved.
Yes.
So this is this constant.
That's a very, very, very important part, and I am glad we took this long to come to this stage, because we have.
Right.
I think we've at this point we very well understand the audience that we've tapped into, and we're planning to tap into in the future as well. We kind of understand the psychology, the behavior, and the changes in the behavior that you constantly keep seeing. So you go to rural areas, you might have to roll out a different product in a different manner. Music classes,
a different format.
yeah.
Right.
So maybe you might have to try a hybrid model if you go into areas where people cannot afford one-on-one live classes, where they have to share out maybe a sum, that they cannot afford. So it's a tactic that you need to change every time you enter a new market.
And we're very aware of whatever steps we take. Like, we've understood the customer behavior from all parts of the country by now, and we are at that stage where whatever steps we take, they'll be all thought through. So we're not shooting in the dark. We know what we're doing. We know how we're approaching different markets, and hence we're comfortable that now if somebody is putting their money on us, we are very sure of the result or the return that we're going to give that.
That's great. So, how did you achieve a balanced representation of all age groups? When I say that, I mean including young children, working professionals, and retired personals, because we cater and we actually do have all those age groups learning from us, and ensuring that your offerings cater effectively to each of these groups with distinct key selling points.
So that also we've evolved over a period of time. We've understood what works best for each age group. What are their major? So every age group has a distinctive requirement that works for them. So when you talk about kids up until 13, 14 years of age, the parents, they want a platform. Like, that is one of the most common requirements or asks from parents. They basically want to see what the child is learning, like how is the growth happening, because unlike working professionals, they just learn. Most of them, they learn because they want to learn it. It's just a hobby, a way to burst their stress, their work anxiety and all. But for kids, there are different approaches that parents have. Some of them, they want the kid to take that up professionally at a certain age. Some, they're very serious about them. Maybe they don't want to take it up professionally, but they're still very serious about them learning. So they want to know that how is my child doing? How much has he learned? What stage is he at? How is he growing? So for them, we've got talent shows that we host at regular intervals. That is where the kids, they get a chance to showcase their talent across the platform. Then for working professionals, like I said, they don't have any such requirement that they want to perform and stuff, but the thing that matters the most to them is flexibility of timing, because that is the biggest constraint for a working professional. Like, no matter how passionate you are about music, you will never prioritize music over your job, right? Absolutely. You have to prioritize your profession. So for them, what matters the most is the flexibility of time, and that is what we provide to them. That you've got complete flexibility in terms of scheduling your classes, canceling them, rescheduling them. You can take it at any point of time as long as your teacher is available. So that works for them. That is a key selling point or a key feature that we have for them. And then when you talk about the retired, like the age group, senior citizen, 60 plus and all, for them, you'll understand that age group is not very tech savvy. Like, most of them, again, I'm not talking for the complete part of that, like that complete age group, but yeah, most of them, they're not very tech savvy. So for us to expect that they'll operate it all themselves, that is not right. Some of them, they have major challenges doing that. So our customer service is what stands out for them. We provide them complete support from our end, like scheduling their classes, giving them reminders, then rescheduling them, canceling them. We've got a lot of students who are aged 60 to 80, 85, and most of them, they've probably never accessed their student accounts. They're being completely handled by us. So one of the key features on our platform is that we provide student session recordings of the sessions that they have. Now, the ideal way to access those recordings is through your dashboard, your student account. But because these guys, they can't do it, we provide them, we upload them on a drive where they can simply just go and access that. So we simplify the process for them through our service and our team, yeah.
Okay. So, as co founders, how do you maintain that evolution from stage one to another stage and continue to do so even today?
Evolution, you can't stop evolving. I mean, you have to keep changing and keep improvising on your services, on the product in some way or the other to just match the change in behavior, and just to, because as you provide services and as you keep doing what you're doing, you realize that, okay, this is where a change is required. This is where a certain modification is required. This might help us better. This might help our students better. This might help our teachers better. So we need to keep addressing those changes and requirements.
Would you
And
like to talk about a few latest evolvements?
the latest one that is worth mentioning is that we recently launched the student app.
Okay.
Like the app, it is both for student and teachers.
When you say evolution, obviously it's a constant process. You
Absolutely.
cannot stop evolving. You stop evolving and the market goes stagnant and you're done. So product marketing, understanding the consumer behavior, again I'll touch base upon that one point. It's extremely important for you to keep a constant knowledge of how your consumers, how your students in our case are behaving in different situations at different times in different setups. What is their response to different scenarios? Once you understand that, the only thing is you need to give them what they want after that. So it's very important for you to understand what the audience actually needs. And it's a constant change. The requirement or the need might not be constant over a very long period of time. It keeps changing.
Yeah.
After every few months or few years or few weeks at times, you would see the need changing across the market. You need to just match those requirements and give out what they want. That's how you evolve, and that is it's a constant part of any solution that you're giving out to the market overall or the people. I mean, in a consumer driven product, it's extremely important to get down to the roots and understand what the audience actually needs. A recent evolution has been, yes, I mean, as she said, the app, we've been working on the app for some time, and recently we've been able to launch that. So it's under beta right now. So I mean, we saw that a lot of our users were finding it very difficult to manage their classes and view session recordings and modifications in the classes and all
Connect
of that.
with the teachers.
They were not able to do that effectively and connect with the teachers. So it was a need that we wanted to address, and hence we planned on developing an app which is successfully developed and launched now. So the students are, a handful number of students are using it at this time, and yeah, I mean it is going to bring a lot of change and a lot of ease in the process that they were following, which is going to again enhance the customer experience. That's another thing that you have to work on. Constant. It's a constant work that you need to do in terms of making sure that the experience on the platform or the product that you're rolling out has to be good enough for the users to be feeling that this is something that is easy to use, right? So experience wise, you have to ensure that they're getting that experience
The
through the
journey has
product.
only been simplified.
It's again, a constant process.
Constant process, yes.
Until now, yes, it has been simplified. Over the next few months or few years, you'll see
may need further
it getting
simplification.
simplified even further.
I think what stands out is that we are still, till date, we are very, very involved in the ground level work, like to understand it ourselves, not just rely on whatever message we get, but ourselves get down to that every now and then and see what has become stagnant, what needs change, and to cater to that personally on our, like at our personal level, we go down and we see that, okay, this is required, and that is when we start acting on that. And I think that's one key factor
that has been a very key factor according to both of us. This is exactly how I think as well. It's extremely important for you to at times get down to the ground and see it for yourself what exactly is happening. There might be challenges that your team is facing, which you might not understand sitting on a couple of levels above them, because you're not going down to the ground and doing it yourself. So it becomes very important for you at that time to go down to the ground and see it for yourself what exactly is happening, to find the root cause of the problem and then solve it further. I know it might not be possible at a very large scale, but till the time it is possible, we would love to do that, right? And then ultimately, that is how you develop a model that is robust, because now you know everything at the grassroots. You know everything at the real level where the actual workforce is working out for you.
And also because we've built this from ground above, there could be issues, there could be problems that somebody else may not be able to even understand or recognize that there's an issue. But because we've done this ourselves, we've built this product ourselves, we would understand that. We might catch it before anybody else does, and hence solve it before it's too late. So that is also, I think, very, very important.
Also, like in my previous questions, you mentioned about how these incidents made you realize that music is never a platform to be achieving, to be just for a hobby purpose. And also, you keep, emphasizing upon how this is a stress reliever. Do you think the thought process has evolved, and also those incidents have also made you realize that yes, Dhunguru has the possibility or capability to be so much more?
Absolutely. This has been just a beginning. It's just one thing that we are doing for the last 2 years to teach music to a particular segment of audience. And as we always say, this is just the beginning. A real opportunity that we've seen over these 3 years, I would say. I mean, 2 years of being operational and then 1 year of study before that. So in these 3 years, what we've seen is there's a lot more to music than just learning it as a hobby. When we started, it was this thought that give a platform to learners to connect with the teachers so that they can learn music. That was the thought. That was the only thought. And for the teachers to also find a way to make their ends meet better than what is usually available in this country. I mean, the average income of a music teacher in India is about 25,000 rupees, which is 115 rupees an hour. So we really wanted to change this. The entire vision went into changing this entire scenario in this country to ensure that people are feeling comfortable, to take up music, not just as a hobby, but as a career choice as well. Whether it is teaching music or publishing, recording live concerts, or whatever form you are getting into music, this should be a great means for you to make your ends meet as well. So we are very proud to say that Dhunguru has been able to achieve that over the last 3 years. The average salary for a music teacher on our platform is about 474 rupees an hour, which is almost 4 times of what it is across this country. So that's one achievement that I would like to tell you.
And that was the first shift we made in
That
our
was the first shift
approach.
we made in our
Because when we
narrative.
started, how we started it, we only looked at it from the student perspective. That okay, COVID has hit. The music schools are not open now. There are no academies. There's a great need for people who wish to learn music, and we should provide them a platform to do that. Despite it being COVID and people under lockdown, we should come up with an online way of learning. That was like the initial approach. But as in when we started working and we started with our research, we went deeper into it, we realized this teacher problem. So that was the first shift we made, that okay, it's not just a student problem that we're solving here, but also an issue, a much bigger issue from the teacher's side. I don't want to say too much, but in our times, if we went to our parents and said that, oh, I want to become a musician, they'd be like, are you out of your mind?
Go and
pick
study.
up a real thing.
That's what any
Pick
usual
up a real
parent would say.
profession.
Platforms like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube Reels.
That's all now. I mean,
That's all
back,
now, yes.
back in our
How
time.
now people are just pursuing this to be, being more famous or being content creators.
So none of
There's
this
much
was
more
there, right?
opportunity
There was
now.
none of this was there.
Absolutely.
So if we went to our parents and said that, mom and dad, I want to become a musician, they would be like, are you out of your mind? Go pick up a real profession. So, and hence, and that's the reason, because that is how the society was. There was not much opportunities for music teachers, and hence the low payout. So that is one problem we addressed. That was one shift we made.
I think it's been a constant evolution ever since then, because when we started, it was about teaching music to kids specifically. Even though we were open for all age groups, but we saw more and more and more maximum inquiries were coming for kids that were done by the parents. Eventually, after a few months, you saw the first shift. A lot of working professionals were inquiring about these music classes. Then you saw another shift. Instruments were changing. So the first trend that we saw was for guitar, keyboard, and singing. The trend changed after a few months, and it went towards different instruments, other instruments that are basically, rocking on our platform at this point, which is one of the best sellers. So
You're also a catalyst of encouraging people to be taking or learning, pursuing music. I see that because, like you said, before also it was just for students, but then, and secondly, then when you started to cater to gurus and look from that perspective, it was also to increase their means of earnings
Yes,
and make it
exactly.
much more better and not just something just for the side job. This is now you're coming and pushing it on the pedestal to be it on the forefront. So in a way, you're also catalyst to be encouraging music within the society and everything.
You talked about the evolution in this entire journey towards music being much more than what it is at this point.
Right.
After we saw the first shift of working professionals getting into it and they started learning music, that is a time when we saw a lot of people talking about music as a healer.
Right.
It came from themselves. We never researched into it. We never went down to study more about this thing, or it was very accidental. We happened to be on a lot of calls when people were getting onboarded, the students were getting onboarded, and it's a very conversation call. Whenever we're there, we usually talk and understand what the student needs. So we got to understand that there is a large section of society that is basically utilizing these classes as a healer or as a stress reliever out of their busy lives, that they're facing every day. And that's when another research started. That is when we basically went down to the T and tried to understand the impacts of music on your overall mental health. So again, there are so many researchers that tell you about some astonishing facts that anybody would be shocked to know. A study that Aditi also mentioned in one of your conversations last time, that 74% of Indians are suffering from stress. 88% of Indians, just the Indian population I'm talking about right now, they're suffering from anxiety-related issues. So that's a huge number you're talking about now. Even though, that audience might be sitting anywhere across this country, they might be in tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3. The fact is they are stressed.
Yeah, and they may or may not be aware of it, like clinically aware of it, that they are suffering through something. But
you don't have the means to diagnose this. India is still a country wherein people are not very well aware about what mental health is, what mental issues are. It's still a taboo to talk about
at least
mental
in the
issues
tier
or
2
depression.
cities, the situation is much better in tier 1 cities right now.
Yeah.
People have become a lot more aware and they're comfortable talking about it, and that's the reason why, without even being probed into it, they're very vocal about the fact that I'm suffering from stress. And I just want to take it up as a means. Like yesterday only, I was having a conversation with one of our students who said that why he wants to pick this up is that he's a working professional. There's a lot of screen time that he has. Like if he is not working, he's on his phone scrolling through one of the social media apps like Instagram or something, and he wants to decrease that. So that he is involved in something else which is far more productive and meaningful. He wants to reduce his screen time. He wants to take these classes as a means to, of course, release stress and all. So this is a very common thing, and people are not any longer, they're not shy of telling that okay, they're going through something. And there are times when we hear it from our teachers that students, they discuss it with them, that they're suffering in their lives, they're going through certain situations, and how tremendously music helps them. And not just stress and anxiety, like I even mentioned in our previous conversation, actual mental health issues like autism, ADHD. Music is clinically proven to help these situations. Not heal that, but definitely help in dealing with these.
Stop the progression, basically. So you talk about dementia in old age. I also had a discussion with you in our last conversation. So dementia is a huge issue in old age. You talk about 65 plus. There's a large population that is suffering from dementia and other Alzheimer diseases that are there. Music is known to be the only source to delay the progression of anything related to Alzheimer's.
There's no cure to it.
There's no cure.
Yeah.
Music is an ultimate healer for anybody who's facing any sort of mental issue. There are a lot of studies around that. It's not that we're just saying it to say that. Once you learn an instrument, there's a lot of connect that you're building with your brain. It's not just your hand and eye that are coordinating. It's your brain that is coordinating with your fingers or your throat or other parts of your body. If you're playing drums, you're even using your legs and all. So a lot of brain exercises are getting triggered. dopamine gets triggered when when you learn music, and there are studies around that as well. A hormone that really helps you become happier, feel happier.
Feel good
Yeah.
hormone. Yeah.
So it is proven that music is actually a healer for anybody who's feeling low, who's feeling depressed, stressed, feeling anxious. So you learn music, not too much. I mean, just take out 45 minutes twice or thrice a week, and you'll feel the change.
And
You
even in
would feel
terms
the
of
change.
practice, you don't have to spend hours on it every day. The teachers say that as long as you give 15, 20 minutes to it on a daily basis, you're good.
I think those 45 minutes of classes and 15 minutes of those practice sessions, 1 hour is something you can gift to yourself every day. And like as we speak about evolving from stage one and we continue to do so, there's one evolvement that I have seen, that is of the logo and the addition to the tagline. What's the idea or the story behind? I'm so curious to know because even I do not know that.
We were both very fond of the old logo, to be honest. We both worked very hard on
That was finalized by the
designing
two
it.
of us.
Yeah,
So
we
initially it
worked
was
hard on
designed
designing it and
with the ideation
finalizing
only.
it. We were very happy, but we realized that the kind of, and this is also from a lot of conversations that we had over the period of time that we were operational and we were working. We worked with that logo for a very long time, up until recently
Yes,
when we
recently.
changed it. So a lot of times people used to tell us that the impression that logo gives is that this is a very traditional setup where you learn basically, like, to put it in simple words, a very guru shishya parampara types of a thing where you're learning something very serious, and not a place where you could also find guitar classes or a western music also is taught or is covered here. But it wasn't just somebody told us once and we decided to change it. But eventually, as in when we kept hearing it over and over again,
And then
because
started
see,
researching.
as a company, when you look at it like that, you need to be sure that you're placing yourself correctly in the market, and whatever you're presenting should be seen in the right light. So if there's anything which is giving a wrong impression, we need to change that. We even address our gurus as gurus. We don't call them teachers on our platform, because that is where we actually come from. But it should not give an idea that Western subjects are not taught here and it's a very traditional setup. That's the reason we thought that we should make some change in the logo and make it more connected, make it more relatable, something that people at large can better connect with.
Another thing was after we thought of this mental health space that we wanted to get into, as Aditi said, when it looked like that the logo was not connecting enough with people and was not giving that vibrance of happiness. You're feeling happy and you feel good colors, you see good colors, you see vibrant colors, and you suddenly the mood gets uplifted. So that logo was not having a lot of colors, and this time we really wanted something to connect with the audience more, and along with a tagline, obviously, that tells the true story about us as a brand. So hence the change, as Aditi also said, and I think the previous logo was more teacher centric than being on the student side as well. So it had that tilak in between, and we just wanted to shift from that approach and give it a more vibrant look overall as a brand, because now that we were entering into people's lifestyles, planning to make them more happy than what they were. So that was, I think it's a decision that we took to just change the look and feel.
Even the tagline, which is now tune into happiness, had its own thought process.
There's been a lot of thought process behind that as well.
Just if you could just tell us briefly what was the thought process, and to my audience as well.
Again, I mean, music, as we've been talking about, it's a product that is supposed to make you happy, and that is the entire motive and the mantra that we've had, to enter people's life and just tell them that this is one thing that is going to make you happy. It's very simple. I mean, we did not want to complicate it. Very simple message that we wanted to give: learn from Dhunguru and tune into happiness. Make yourself light, learn music, and just bring a change.
So this brings up to my next question. This is for you, Kartik. How did Dhunguru become a solution for people struggling with anxiety and stress and help cope with their mental health?
So it is. We've still not entered that arena completely. To be very honest,
Okay.
we're still evolving. We're still trying to understand how to perfect this one type of classes that we would want to do. But the idea is to basically specially curate these classes into music therapy for people struggling with stress and anxiety, and heal them through the power of music. That is the core idea overall, and this is exactly what we are looking for. So I think it
we
should not be
still-
done in a manner that gives them more stress. It is to relieve stress for them. So the classes would be specially curated along the same lines.
So we're still in the ideation phase of it, but yeah, like if you see it, it's basically an extension of the thought that we always had, that it should not be an additional stress, but a means to release that stress and relieve that stress, basically. So just an extension of where we always were.
So again, there is a popular opinion. I'm sure there must have been a lot of times that you must have been countered with the statement that I'm going to say, that music can only be learnt offline. What's your say on the efficacies of online music learning classes?
It's as efficient as offline, maybe more. But yeah, there's no truth to this, that it can be only learned offline. Depends on individuals. Maybe some people prefer to take it up on offline, but there is nothing stopping you from learning it online as effectively as you can learn offline. I mean, COVID has taught everybody everything can be done online, anything and everything. There are teachers on our platform who themselves continue to learn online during COVID, and then impart that same knowledge to our students. So, honestly, not just because we provide online classes, but there is no truth to this, that it can be only learned offline. It can very well, and it is being learned online. We've got so many students on our platform, so many kids who've cleared grade exams one after the other only by starting here. So they never had any offline training before this. They started learning with us, they started their journey online, and today they are at like grade 4, grade 5. So if that can happen, it is testament to the fact that music can be very, very, very well learned online.
I think just to back this up, I think there's a lot of background to this statement or this thought that we're talking about, that music can only be learned offline. See, as we've been talking about, this industry itself began in 2020. This entire movement, it started in 2020. Pre-COVID, music was always learned offline. Even we knew only one mode of learning, that was go to an academy or call a teacher at your place. That's the only way to learn. There's no other way. I mean, just like you go to school to learn the academics, that was the only way. But after COVID struck, things changed, right? So I would not say that people who say that it can only be learned offline, they're wrong, because that's the way they've seen it. That's the only way they've known music ever since they've seen it. So, but if you talk about the post-COVID era, things started changing. People went more towards online stuff. Whether you learn your academics online, you take tuition classes online, you take hobby classes online. Everything that you were learning was basically happening online. So it's just that my thought to this is it's very similar to the time when e-commerce began across the world. Pre that era, we only knew one way to shop: to go out, buy whatever you
Try
wanted
it
to learn,
out and
try it
come
on, come back.
Go to physical stores.
That's how you always shop, right? But when Flipkart came, for a long time after they were operational, or Flipkart or Amazon or other e-commerce platforms that were there, for a very long time, this was a notion that I would not want to try Flipkart, because you don't know how the fit would be, how the color would be, how the stuff would be. So I would rather go to a shop, buy something, and come back. It takes time to evolve and change that thought process and mentality that does rounds once and a new industry begins. So I think it's an evolution that happens over time, something that is going to change, which is already changing. We see a shift already in the last 3 years itself. You see a huge shift. There are more and more and more takers of different kind of instruments that people wanted to learn. Different age groups are coming on the platforms who are learning whatever they always wanted to learn. It's just that as I said, you have to give people what they are looking for. If you give that, everything is manageable, and over time people change their thought process and they accept changes.
And there'll
So
always be questions, and then there'll always be evolution. So even when you talk about e-commerce, initially there was apprehension of buying clothes. Then that went to a comfort point, and then like now people don't even shy away from spending lakhs of rupees on buying phones and other electrical appliances online.
yeah,
Like back in the day when e-commerce was not known to people, nobody would have thought of doing that. The only way of purchasing appliances or purchasing any electrical thing, people, the only way they knew was to go to a shop, check it out, check it completely, and then come do it. So there's been constant evolution there. And similar is the case with music learning. There were questions back then. There are still questions. There are people who still question the efficacy of online music learning. But yeah, I mean, people have gotten they're getting they've warmed up to it, and I think with time, as and when it keeps going, it's going to get better.
I think there'll always be questions.
There'll always be questions. You just need to keep answering them in a way that works with people, that makes them comfortable, that makes it believable.
Right.
And then once they try it, they know it for themselves. And then there could be a case where one or two case here and there when it doesn't work for somebody.
Always, right. There are
But
always
then
cases. And then it's in
you need to look
everything.
at the majority,
Right.
and that's the case with everything.
Everything.
so as a platform we would never say what is better, what is not. We would never want to get into that debate whether online is better or offline is better. I think it is exactly what suits you. You do that.
Learning music
It's an
is best
individual
for
choice.
you.
Yeah, I mean it's
Being
just
offline,
the fact
online.
is you should just
Please,
learn music.
music,
We're just
yes.
advocating learning
Whatever
music.
works
Yes,
for you.
that's the
However,
thing.
Whatever mode you
however
want to
it works
choose,
for you.
Absolutely.
just do
Use
that.
music.
And also
I'll tell you, a teacher on our platform, he very well explained. So he was giving a demo session, and he was asked this question that can it be learned? He's a violin teacher on the platform, and he was asked this question that can it be learned? And he very well explained this, that the only thing that I cannot do is physically hold your finger and place it on the instrument if you're not placing it right. Otherwise, you're very well ear trained to know if you're not playing something correctly. They'll correct you at that very point. And he even explained that, if this was an offline class and you were sitting with a bunch of other kids, I would have only been partially attentive on you. And the minute I went out of the class, all would have been here and there doing your own things. So that 60-minute class would have effectively only been 15 minutes for you. But here, 45 minutes of online attention is completely on you, and you don't have an option to go here and there. I don't have an option to go out of the room. You are sitting there, I am sitting here, and it's a proper one-on-one communication.
Dedicated one-on-one.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of success stories on our platform as
Yes.
well. That back this statement that online music learning is as effective as an offline class. There are kids who have done their grades with our teachers into different instruments and vocals, and a large number of students have cleared grades from Trinity, ABRSM, Rock School of Music, and even did their certification from some Indian colleges as well into Hindustani
And these
classical.
are kids with no previous experience. So they started learning music with us, and today they've cleared examinations and grades like
So
Kartik said.
it's very, very well doable. There is no
It
way
is happening.
you would say that it's not as effective.
So what's the plan ahead?
There are many plans ahead.
Plans ahead, I think
Something you could speak of.
we would not want to go too deep into this and then talk
Absolutely, I do
about a
understand.
very long future into
Right.
this. But yeah, I think in the near future, you would see the first thing that you would see from now on is Dhunguru going global. And somebody sitting in one part of the world now would be able to connect with a teacher from a different part of the world. You want to learn Western violin sitting here in India, you could easily connect with a teacher who's an expert sitting in another part of the globe, teaching the same to you, and same goes vice versa as well. This is one development that is going to happen very shortly ahead. I mean, it's a long road. There'll be a lot of things that you're going to see. So I would say stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned and tune into happiness with Dhunguru.
Yeah, don't miss that.
This is my last question, and we wrap this up. What message or advice would you like to share with the Dhunguru community on this 3rd anniversary, especially regarding utilizing music for better mental well-being.
Not just for Dhunguru community. I think we would have a
Everyone, for my
message
entire
for
audience, for everyone
for
who's gonna see us,
everybody
for everybody
who would be seeing this.
for everyone.
I think it's just about keep learning music.
It's a great thing. It's a lovely language, a language that each one of us understands and speaks better than any other language. So just keep learning music and keep tuning into happiness.
And don't stress yourself with any goal when you're learning something like this. Just enjoy the process. I think do not worry about the outcome would come automatically if you're enjoying the process. So just keep learning music and keep tuning yourself into happiness. That's the only message we would have for everybody.
Yes.
And this is how Dhunguru turns 3. It's just the beginning.